What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to go into a bit of market structure, a bit more in-depth market structure, if I can put it that way. So we're going to start looking at the highs and the lows, and then we're going to start anticipating which highs and which lows will be grabbed next when looking at the charts, because that's something that people don't understand. So as soon as price closes above highs or don't close above highs, people don't know when to say, yeah, listen, this is a liquidity sweep, or this is a break of structure, or we didn't close above this high. Where is the next target that we can possibly go to? You know, I've recently seen, just by paying attention to the highs and the lows that price has been making, you can immediately like get an idea of where price wants to go to next. Okay, so we're gonna hop on a clean chart. Sorry, this is my chart from Friday. So we're going to get a clean chart and we're going to start looking at it, and we're going to go through the highs and the lows. So this is basically, it's part of market structure, but it's a more in-depth market structure, because in the market structure videos, I just explained on how, price forms higher highs, higher lows, and basically all that type of stuff. So we're going to go a bit more in depth, and we're going to look at how the candles close at highs. We're going to go to the daily time frame. We're going to do it on the daily time frame, 1 hour and 15-minute time frame. Okay, so you can just get more or less an idea of what market is doing. Okay, so let's go back in some time. We're going to select a random time. Okay, I'm just going to go back. There we go. This seems good to me. Okay, so let's have a look here at the market. Okay, so we can see, where's that tool of mine? Hold on, there we go. We can see price put in a high here. Okay, you agree with me? There's price put in a high there, and price put in a low there. Okay, so what is our potential target here? We can see we've got a higher high, we've got a higher low. Okay, then price put in a new higher high. Look what price did. It closed above this current high over here. Okay, now if we zoom in a bit, you can see price came down. Okay, price came down to this low. Okay, it came down to that low. It swept out this low. But what did price not do? It didn't close below this low. So what can we anticipate for price to go to do next? We can anticipate price to move up, to sweep out this high, and that's exactly what price did. It went up, it swept out this high, right? But let's clean the chart wheel up real quick for you guys. There we go. So you can see price went up, it took out this high to the left hand side, but what did price do here? We did not close above this high. So what is that telling me? Where is the next potential target for price to go? Maybe this internal low on a lower time frame over there, or this low over here. Now, there is buy opportunities within this, because this is a valid liquidity sweep. Okay, there is selling opportunities within here. Why? Because price moved up, it took out, and we rejected off this low, even on the daily time frame. So that's giving me some strong selling opportunities. Okay, now I do want to mark out this fair value gap over here. You can see basically what did price do? It came, okay, it tapped this fair value gap over here, not tapping this one, so making this a form of inducement. Okay, I'm not going to mark out that stuff here. That's something for another video. So we're just going to stay on this, on highs and lows. Okay, so you can see price took out that high, failed to close above it. Now you can see price start moving down towards these lows. Okay, and as soon as price closes below the lows, we can say, okay, this is a valid break of structure. Now this, to me, is a break of structure. Why is that? Because price swept out liquidity, it moved down, took out a low, and closed below that low. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's have a look at this. So price puts in this high. Okay, then price puts in a low over here. Then price puts some internal lows on lower time frames over there. Okay, now we can see with this new high, this lower time frame high, what does price do? It moves up, it takes out the high. It doesn't actually, look at this carefully, guys. It actually forms liquidity, because that is a form of a double top on maybe a 50 minutes or an hourly time frame. So these are relatively equal highs. So that that starts to form as buy side liquidity for me. Okay, so that's a potential target for price to move up and grab it. Okay, then we can see you've got another lower time frame low being put in place here. And what does price do? It moves up. It moves up. It takes out this high. But look at this. Okay. Price closes above, but that's a pretty shallow close. So I'm not interested in that. I want to see a beautiful body close like this. I want to see something like that happening over here. Okay. And we don't get that. We get a shallow close and then nothing else. That's basically it. We get a shallow close, nothing else. So what's our next potential targets? Maybe for one of these lows to be grabbed here, which price does not do. Price does not grab these lows. Instead, it comes down to take out this. I'm not going to mark that out as a low because that to me, that's not a low there. Even on low time frame, I wouldn't even say that's a low over there. But on the daily time frame, you can see these lows here. Price doesn't even come back down to grab it. Instead, price moves up, right? Price moves up, takes out this high. And what does it do? It keeps on trading above it. Price keeps on trading above it. So now we've got a new higher high. No. Yes, sorry. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low being put into place here. And you can see price forms this high. And it forms a low. Price forms that low over there. Then, what does price do? It takes out the high and it keeps on trading above that high. Okay? So price closes above it and it trades above that high. And then what do we get next? A new high being put into place. And a new low being put into place. Sorry, I didn't select that. A new low being put into place. Okay? So there's our new high. There's our new low. What does price do? It comes down. It takes out the low. And look what happens. It closes below this low. And what else? It trades below this low. Okay. So what do we have now? We've got a new low put into place here. Right over there. And price moves up, forming a new high being put into place over there. Okay. And then yet again, you can see price comes down. Right? Price comes down. It takes out this low, and what does it do? It trades below this low. You get this. Okay, you get this sweep and a pullback. But what does the next candle do? It comes down to trade below the low. Okay, so give it a few candles to see what it does at a high or low. Don't because of one candle, yeah, it swept this low, yeah, now we're going to buy or whatever. Give it a few candles. See what it does. You want to see that rejection off a low or a high, something like this, you know, something like this. You can see price took it out and the next candle started trading below this high over here. Okay, that's kind of what you want to see in price. Okay, so don't because of one low that closes above this low, don't because of one candle that closes above this low over here think yes, we're moving bullish now. Don't think of it like that. Give it a few candles, see what price does. Because some of the times, price can come up. You know, it can do this. It can trade below, you know, close below, and then all of a sudden just move up. Okay. Now, if you move on to the charts, you can see price puts in a high there now. And it puts in a new low over here. What does price do over here? It comes down to take out this low and we trade below this low. So this still indicates to me that price is moving bearish. And then all of a sudden we get a switch. Okay. Then price takes out the high. You can see it takes out the high and then closes below. That's why I say give it a few candles, see what it does. And then price breaks above the high and starts trading above it. Okay. Now let's have a look over here. So we get this high being put into place here, right? We get this low being put into place here. What does price do? It forms the high, comes down, forms a low, and then look at this. Price comes down to take out this low, but never closes below it. Here you can see there's two candles that took out this low, but never closes below this low. So what can we expect price to do next? To take out this high. Price can take out this high because why? It took out a low but failed to close below the low. Okay, so this is basically a liquidity sweep. And there you can see you get a resweep of that low on this candle over here. And then price, what does price do? It puts in a new high. It puts in a new high. Okay, and what does price do at this high? You can see price takes out the high, but fails to close above it. Price fails to close above it, to trade above it. So what's our next potential target? This, right over here. And what does price do? Comes down, closes below it, and then what does price do? We trade below it. And then price puts in a new low, and it puts in this high over here. And then you can see price takes out this low and trades below this low, putting in a new low. And we've got this lower time frame high over there. And then you can see, once again, price comes down. It sweeps out the low, but fails to close below it, fails to trade below that low. So what is our next target? This high, or even potentially this high, okay? It can take out one of the two highs, and it can just keep on, trading above those highs. Either way. Okay, and then, so let's quickly drop down to a lower time frame though. Let's go to the 15-minute time frame. Okay, so now we're on this 15-minute time frame, okay? Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at price over here. Okay. Let's see. So you can clearly see we're going downwards, okay? Market is moving bearish on the 15-minute time frame. So you can see we got a high put in place there, and we get a low put in place over here. And looking at this, you can see price comes down. Okay, we trade below this low. So what does that tell me? Price is more likely to move bearish, okay? Then what does price do? It puts in a new low, and it puts in a high right there. Okay. Then price comes down to take out this low. It sweeps the low, and it never goes above this high. Instead, it sweeps the low, creates a high, and then we move bearish again. Okay. So it's something you can't always predict that price is going to form a new high or low because it didn't close it, but it gives you more like of an idea where price is more likely to head to next, if you get what I'm saying. So price comes down, then takes out this low, puts in a new low right over here, okay? And then what does price do? Price moves down, takes out this, and then moves in the opposite direction. So what's our potential target? Maybe this high or that high up there. But price never, it almost sweeps this high, but close but no cigar, okay? So price didn't sweep that high. It's all cool. It's all cool. There's still buying opportunities just based off that candle not closing below it, okay? And here eventually you can see price comes down, and it finally breaks this low and then starts trading below it, okay? And then what does price do? It puts in a new low right over here and a new high right over there. And then you can see price immediately pushes down, closes below this low, and starts trading below this low. And then what does price give us? So price then puts in a, I want to say this low, but I also want to say this low. Let's go with this low so I can show you an example. So I can show you an example of what I mean with wait for a few candles, And then we get this high put in place there. So I'm going to use those two highs, that high and that low, as an example real quick for you guys. So looking at this low and this high, you can see price comes down, it sweeps out that low of this candle and closes above it. Now you get your people that don't have patience in trading. They're like, okay, let's start buying from this candle because we didn't close below it, so we can go for this high, And then you get me sitting back, sitting on my hands. I'm waiting for the candles. I'm waiting to see rejection of this low. And you can see price comes down, sweep, sweep, sweep. But once again, look at the closure. The closure is pretty shallow. You see that? The closure is pretty shallow. There's not I want to see closure like this. This is what I want to see. I want to see candles trading below it. And look at this. You had this one candle closing below, and the next candle started going up. It closed above the low again. So this is where I started getting interested in the buys then. Not here, but here. So I would have got my buys probably on one of these pullbacks, or maybe a 5-minute or 1-minute time frame. On these pullbacks, I would have got an entry over here, targeting highs. That's basically it. That's basically it. Okay, just by paying attention on what price does with highs and lows. Okay, so you can see price moves up, it takes out this high, then starts rejecting off it. Okay, now once again, don't look at one candle, wait for a few candles, look what a few candles does with that high or that low. So you can see price moves up. Okay, closes above the high, pretty shallow close. Not interested in that. Why? It's a shallow close. I want to see proper closure like this. This is what I want to see. Proper closure. Not shallow closing, okay? It's the same with a liquidity sweep. When I want to look for a liquidity sweep, I don't want to look for a shallow sweep. I want to look for a pretty deep sweep, you know? A deep sweep that taps into an area or a level of interest for me or something like that. Not a shallow sweep, because that doesn't give me anything. That doesn't tell me that the market wants to reject off that level. It's the same with the break of structures or the highs and the lows. Shallow sweeps doesn't really tell you, yeah, listen, we swept a low, we did a shallow sweep, we're gonna continue going bearish. No. You want some proper closure. You want to see some fat candles. So if this candle was coming down to all the way, like if this candle closed over down here, I would be like, okay, this looks promising to me. We had some deep closure, you know, let's see what the candle does now. And then you can see price moves up, right? We've got the shallow close. I'm not interested in those sells yet. I'm not interested. I want to see what price does. And you can see price starts rejecting of it. Price starts rejecting of it. Then you get that push. Then you get that push up. And what does price do? Let's just put this. Let's just lock it again. What does price do then? It puts in this high. Okay, price puts in a high right over there, and it puts in a new low right over here. Okay, and you can see, wait, hold on, there you go. Here you can see price comes down, it almost sweeps this low, close but no cigar once again. So for me, I'm not interested. You know, I'm not interested. I wanted to see, if I wanted to enter buys of that, I wanted to see price do that, something like that, and then reject off it. Then I'll potentially look for a short, a long entry within this pullback or something like that. And then what can you see? Price moves up. You can even take, for example, let's take this. This is a 5-minute low, guaranteed now. Price takes out that low, fails to close below it, moves up, takes out that high, and what does price do next? Shallow close. Look at the closure. It did a shallow close. And look at the left. Look at the left. So on a 5-minute time frame, that's also pretty much a high. I can guarantee you that. That's a high there on the 5-minute time frame. What does price do? It goes up, sweeps, fails to close above this high over here. Yeah, it closes above, but once again, look at that. That's a shallow closure. I'm not looking for that. I want to see a nice candle closing above it. So what is my next potential target? All these lows down here. That is my next target. All these lows here. Why? We failed to close above with a nice fat candle. And what does price do? Price moves down. And there you can see, look at that candle closure. That is what you're looking for. You want to see these candles. You know, you want to see it basically run it. Because what's happening now, price has been rejecting off levels in here. So what are you getting? You're getting your buyers. Buyers are getting interested in this, okay? They're getting interested. So they're like, okay, let's start buying here. And price moves up to take out a high, fails to close above that high, and then bloop, drops, takes out all those buyers. And then price puts in a new low. Right over here. Price puts in a low and a high. Right over there. Okay. So looking at this, you can see we got a high, then we got a new low. Got a new low there. So what's that? What is that telling me? Price is starting to move into an uptrend. Why? Because price didn't take out this low. And we didn't close below this low. So that's telling me the buyers are starting to get involved in the market, pushing price higher. And then you can see price goes up, okay, comes down, forms this low, right? Even if you look at this, so this is a 5-minute low, right over here. That's a 5 minutes low. You can see price comes down and rejects off this area, fails to close below it. So what's the next target? This high over here. And what does price do? It moves to that high. It fails to close above it. So there's potential sell opportunities there. So we rejecting off that high, failing to close above it. So what's our potential targets? These lows. These lows here. Okay? That is our potential target. Which price gives you a nice pullback. It does give you a nice pullback. But then yet again, it doesn't come back to these lows. So another thing indicating to me that price maybe wants to move higher, because we rejected off on a high. We moved down, but we didn't take out a low. Okay? We didn't close below a low. So that indicates to me that price might want to move higher. And then what does price do here? You can see price moves higher. Price moves higher, takes out this high, and trades above it. Price trades above that high. Okay? Look at this. So then we have a new higher high put in place. And we've got a new... And we've got a new higher low put in place. What does price do? Price moves up, closes above it. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's not too shallow. So I'm pretty happy with that. You can see there's a few candles trading above the high. So to me, that's still indicating to me that price might want to move higher. And then price moves down. It takes out this low right over here. But look at that. Fails to close below this low. Price fails to close below this low. Instead, it rejects off this low. And then price moves up, putting in a new high over here. Putting in a new... Oh, wait. Why can't I? There we go. Putting in a new high over here. And that high took out this low, that high. Now, if I'm looking at this high over here, look at that. That's pretty shallow closure. You see that? Price has been closing above it, but pretty shallow. And then you can see price starts rejecting off it. So to me, I'm starting to indicate that, listen, price might want to move bearish. Let's see what the candles does. You know, sitting on my hands once again, because why? This is a bullish movement. I'm not going to look to sell in here. I'm going to look to buy based off liquidity sweeps, based off lows being swept without closing. Then you can see price. So it rejects off here. So I'm still sitting on my hands. I'm like, okay, listen, let's see what price does. You know, let's see what price does at this low maybe, you know. Let's see what price does there. And what does price do? Instead, it moves up. It takes out this high and closes above it, trading above it. So I'm like, okay. We got a new high put in place. Let's see what price will do with this high now. And then price starts moving bearish, taking out this low. Now it's trading above it. It's trading above it for 2 candles. That's why I say wait for a few candles and see what price wants to do. And then what does price do? It moves down, taking out all these lows, liquidating all these buyers that's still holding their trades. So it liquidates them. It closes below it, right? Price closes below this low. And then what do you get? Get a new high. Get a new low put in place there. Okay. So that's what you get now. Now you're sitting with this. Now price came up, took out this high, traded above that high. Okay, you can see that's nice closure. That's some pretty deep closure over this. I'm like, okay, this is looking pretty promising to me. So now what's our next target? Because we closed above this high, we can expect a higher low to form or new low to form and then take out this high again because we've been closing above the highs. Then price comes down, right? It takes out this low. Look how we're rejecting off this low. We've got shallow closure. And the rest of the candles have not been closing below this low. And what does price do? It goes up, takes out this high, and then closes above that high. Pretty simple stuff. Look at that. That's some pretty nice closure over there. That's some fat candles. I like that. I like seeing some fat candles. And then, so after that high got put into place, we've got a low over here. And we've got an internal low over there. What does price do? Price moves down, takes out the low, and closes below this low, putting in a new putting in a new, oh, sorry, putting in a new low over there and a new high over there. Okay, so now we're left with this. Now you can see prices moving up. It formed this low, gave us this low over here. What does price do at this high? It takes it out and trades above it. Okay, it trades above it. So what are we left with? That high and this new low over here. What does price do? Comes down, takes out this low, fails to close below this low, and keeps on trading above it. So what's my next potential target? This high or even that high over there. And price goes up, takes out that high, closes above it. That's some pretty nice closure. I like that. And it puts in a new high right over there and puts in a new low. Then you can see price moves up. Once again, takes out the high, trades above that high. So what are we left with? A new high right over there. And we've got all of these lows down here. I'm just going to select that one. So I selected that high because that's our first high that we got. Okay. Now price goes up, fails to close above it. Look, we're rejecting off it. So this is a potential area for the sellers to get in. Now you can see they get in. Okay. So what is our target when we fail to close above this high? Either this wick, the bottom of that wick, or this low. And you can see price moves down. It doesn't grab this low yet, so it's okay. It's all good. Price comes down. Okay, closes above this wick, this low. Doesn't even take it out. Oh, can I just select that thing? Damn it. There we go. Closes above this low. Okay, so we're sitting on our hands. This is potential. This is an area of consolidation, so you shouldn't even be trading in this. Tell you the honest truth, you shouldn't be even trading in that. That's consolidation. I don't know why you want to trade that, but yeah, okay. And then you can see price. Well, I just want to check something. This is a pretty choppy area right over here. Here's also another, like, more or less an area of consolidation, you know. So they've got two areas of consolidation. Then finally, price comes up. Okay. It takes out this wick. Then moves down again. Okay. Price takes out the wick. Moves down again. Fails to close below this low. So what are we anticipating? Price is taking out highs, failing to close above highs, but it's not taking out lows. Price is supposed to take out lows when we're failing to close above highs, but it's not taking out the lows. So we should then actually anticipate price to go higher because lows are not being swept and we're not closing below the lows. So this is where the people get confused. So they'll keep on selling here. They'll keep on selling here because price is taking out highs and it doesn't close above these highs. But instead of looking at like more in depth, they don't see, listen, but price is actually failing to close below the lows. So, you know, price can potentially go higher even. And then what does price do? Price moves up, breaks out of this range, moves up, closes above this high, and we start trading above it. Okay. So what are we left with then? A new high right over there. Wait, sorry, I didn't select the tool. A new high right over there and a new low right over here. Okay, so what does price do? It moves down. Okay, it fails to take out these lows. You can see price keeps on failing to take out like one of these wicks every single time. It doesn't take out a wick. That wick over there, that wick over there, and that wick over there. So this is the same scenario as this. Price moved up, took out the high, failed to close above that high. So you're anticipating sells, right? So you're anticipating, okay, price can move lower now. Then price moves down, but it doesn't close below the low. So like, okay, we got that high being taken out. We failed to close the high. I'm expecting price to come down. I'm going to look at what's happening at the lows. I can see, okay, listen, the lows are not being taken out when we're not closing below the lows. So that's telling me, listen, if I'm in a sell right now because it failed to close above that high, I should either secure my sell or I should just close it. One of the two options is valid because we're failing to close below the lows. And you can see this is also an area of like, you know, consolidation right over here. So another key area you should not be trading at, like, at all, you know. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Every day that I go in the charts, most of the time I put 90%, I focus on how the highs and the lows work. Okay. Sometimes I'm in a sell and I can see, listen, price took out the low, but failed to close below it. So let me just rather secure my trade. Okay. So this is one of the important things that people don't realize when it comes to trading is paying attention to the highs and the lows. Okay. They rather want to mark out fair value gaps, liquidity sweeps the whole time, market structure shifts and everything, instead of just paying, listen, price will tell you what it's going to do when it takes out highs and lows. I'm not lying to you guys. You will get a general idea of where price wants to move to as soon as you start paying attention to how the highs and lows are being respected. If you don't know how highs and lows are being respected, the chances of you taking a loss or something like that, in my opinion, are much greater because you don't know where price is more likely to head next. That's just my opinion. But yeah, that's basically it for the video, guys. This was just a more in-depth. If you guys have any questions, make sure to, you can send me a message, or you can just hit it in the comment section. One of the two, it's up to you. But go study this. Go try it on your charts. When you're trading, go look at this and look what price does. Okay? Look how price reacts off the highs and lows. I promise you, as soon as you start knowing where price wants to head next, your trades, your whole perspective on key zones and everything like that will change. I promise you that. Because that's what happened to me. I used to just trade, just hop on the charts and just do my trading. As soon as I started looking at highs and lows, I'm like, okay, hold on, wait a second. This is more likely to happen because of that high and that low. So what am I doing now? I'm probably my trade's gonna hit stop loss because look at this low now. But yeah, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know.